Hello everyone, welcome back to the Ergo Prism YouTube channel. Today we're doing a very basic yet important video covering the essentials and the preliminary information about Ergo and why Ergo. Why out of literally thousands of cryptocurrencies would Ergo be the one to look out for going forward into the future? Why would it compete in the top 10 and have no other rival literally in the entire crypto space apart from Bitcoin? So without any further ado, I hope you enjoy, and we're going to jump right into it. Okay, to begin, we have a foreword by Charles Hoskinson. Now, he didn't actually make a foreword for my video and this presentation specifically, but a few days ago, he met up with a few of the core members of the Ergo Foundation. And one of the community questions in that AMA was, what did he think about Ergo? And he reiterated his thoughts. So most of you know Charles Hoskinson has been in the crypto industry for over a decade. He is the founder of Cardano, ADA, and he helped early on for about a few months with Ethereum. So he's one of the most experienced people in the space. And he, and I quote, said about Ergo, "I've always said Ergo is the spiritual successor in many ways to Bitcoin. If you look at the principles of Bitcoin, the kind of things Satoshi Nakamoto was trying to accomplish as defined by the white paper and the comments of Bitcoin Talk." He's talking about, back in the day. When I look at the things Alex Cherpanoy, the founder of Ergo, his team and the community has done, they're logically consistent with what Bitcoin would have been had it been invented and pioneered at a later date. Ergo has fair distribution, very nice proof of work, mining algorithm, etc. If you look at the scripting language, Satoshi did intend Bitcoin script to be more expressive, meaning capable of doing more things than what Bitcoin ended up only doing. The problem was Satoshi didn't know or didn't have the time to make it more expressive. And every attempt they had actually created, and with every attempt, they had actually created more complications and problems for Bitcoin. So when you look at Ergo Sigma protocols and extended UTXO, these types of things, they are logically consistent with an evolution of Bitcoin's technology. So I've always loved Ergo from that perspective. I always felt that Ergo should get more respect, visibility, liquidity, and attention, and that the evolution of Ergo is ultimately a very good thing for the crypto industry as a whole. The other thing is, Ergo has great products, has a great product, great founders, and that fostered in a great community. It's an era that's gone in Bitcoin, but is still present today in Ergo. A little phone call there, hold on. So, those are pretty heavy, definitive words by one of the leaders in the entire crypto industry, a very smart man. And Cardano, obviously being in the top 10 market cap, cannot be an accident. So that praise to Ergo means a lot. And I felt like it was a proper foreword preface to the presentation. So here we go. What is Ergo now? Ergo is a resilient platform for contractual money. It is also simply defined as a flexible blockchain protocol. Ergo is designed for developing decentralized applications, or DApps, with the main focus of providing an efficient, secure, and easy way to implement financial smart contracts. Okay, introduction. So who is behind the project? In the foreword, you heard mentioned the founder or co-founder of Ergo, and that is Alexander Cherpanoy. The other co-founder, I believe, is Dmitry Meshkov, who has a PhD in physics. So, I mean, the team, it goes without saying, they're composed of very smart individuals. And Alex himself has worked in the crypto industry since about 2011, making him one of the oldest seasoned developers in this crypto industry. He is not only a developer, but also an academic researcher. Usually, from what I've seen from my experience, it's usually one or the other. You work on the academic side, making papers, theoretical, things, and examples of maybe a fourth generation cryptocurrency. We see that a lot with input output global, like with the Minotaur paper and things like that. So anyway, he doesn't only research this stuff; he also develops it. He puts it into practice. All of this theoretical framework and things like that. He began working on Bitcoin stuff in the early 2010s. Then he was one of the first people to work with Charles Hoskinson from Cardano as an academic researcher. He is still technically on the board of IOG, IOG's Cardano team for research. Alex also during that time same time worked on various projects such as ScoreX, now known as Waves, I believe, top 100 blockchain by market cap right now, today, in 2022. And I believe he helped with another preliminary project that helped bring together the proof of stake, the modern proof of stake implementation for Cardano. And he was also notably one of the two co-founders of smartcontracts.com, which later became Chainlink. Chainlink is a well-known cryptocurrency in the top 20 by market cap. Not a bad resume to have behind a core developer of a blockchain. During his time working for Charles from Cardano, using all the knowledge he had amassed at that time over the years, he wrote a lengthy academic research paper, I believe, which put forth a proposal in that paper that it would be possible to take all the best elements of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, Monero, and several other blockchain elements. And kind of with the putting together that paper with the idea that somebody ought to take all of this theoretical academic thought and put it into a realized blockchain platform. Nobody was implementing his proposal for a best of all worlds blockchain protocol. I speculate that it was probably because it required a lot of knowledge and intelligence most people didn't have in cryptography and in blockchain development at the time. So he actually left his probably very comfortable position in IOG, input output, working with one of the top blockchains at that time and now, which is Cardano. And he left all that behind to work on a new project called Ergo. And that is pretty much the majority of what he works on today, using all of his knowledge and genius. So a little bit of a backstory. We're going to get more into more about Ergo now and what it has to offer as a unique value proposition in the entire crypto industry that is very difficult to find. Okay. Okay, introduction continue. Everything in the Ergo protocol is entirely built from scratch as well, using their own novel scripting language called ErgoScript. The ErgoScript's design is based on Scala. And for those of you that may not be familiar, scripting languages are basically, it's the code. Cryptographic blockchain programming code. For example, Ethereum runs on Solidity, which is very well known, with having a very extensive library. Ergo script also seeks to compete with Ethereum Solidity to make it very accessible to programmers and simpler to implement smart contracts with Ergo script than Ethereum with Solidity. Cardano scripting language, for example, is Haskell, etc. So Ergo was launched with the concept in mind of building the most powerful blockchain in the crypto industry, taking the best of all existing crypto innovations and rolling them, all that abstraction, and rolling them all into one, and adding Ergo's own novel innovations on top of all that as well. It is intended to serve many use cases, and it claims 99% of current crypto use cases are possible to build from right from the start of Ergo's mainnet launch, which was in 2019. So you can build whatever your heart desires. If you can program, you get together a small team. You can do anything you can envision that you currently see right now, and may not, and things that you may not conceptualize right now. You can build that all right now today on Ergo. So if you know any of developers, if you know any people with experience in blockchain, smart contract programming and things like that, I would highly recommend looking into Ergo script and seeing what you would want to build in the crypto space, and build it here. Build it on Ergo. You'll have a lot of superior tooling and advantages that you would not find in other blockchains. So anyway, two notable use cases highly focused on for Ergo has been the concept of making it mineable as a proof of work cryptocurrency, and having the tokenomics behave in such a way that it makes it scarce as a digital gold and a storage of value similar to Bitcoin. But at the same time, also being a top contender for the best DeFi smart contract compatible sandbox for developers to build dApps like on Ethereum. So what we're pretty much talking about here is Ergo, and the native token for Ergo's blockchain is simply called ERG. Having that with its supply cap at 97.7 million ERGs, and also making sure that not only is it scarce and a storage of valuable that you can mine in a proof of work setting, but also that you can build whatever you want, similar to Ethereum, without gas fees, for example, and with a lot of the benefits Ergo brings to the table, and compete with, the big powerhouse that Ethereum is right now. So they're trying to do from the very beginning both of these things, Bitcoin and Ethereum, which of course are the two major blockchains in the space. Everything on Ergo is completely open source to use and programmed to a developer's vision and taste. There is no bureaucracy or censorship. In fact, there's a community that is very active in supporting new developers and fostering new entrepreneurial visions on Ergo. The core developers and the developer community at large primarily work on developing things on Ergo. I think Alex also works voluntarily without pay, because there is no insider token allocation. Now, there is a simple Ergo Foundation whose only purpose to exist is really to provide grants and scholarships and funding to new projects and new developers that want to build on Ergo. This foundation, as I understand it, from the very beginning was registered as an auditable nonprofit organization in Singapore to avoid any legal issues that could arise in the worst case scenario as crypto legislation worldwide continues to evolve. Okay, now that we got a lot of the preliminary information out of the way, which I find a little more boring, but very, very important to note, now we're going to get into the main points. these are very basic main points for now. What is Ergo? The name stands for work. I wasn't sure if it was in Greek or Latin, but Ergo stands for work. The term ergonomic is also one of those parallels that the name draws from. It is an ASIC resistant proof of work cryptocurrencies. This means that you cannot use Bitcoin miners with Ergo. ASIC stands for application specific integrated circuits. I have other videos that get into more of the mining side of ERG. So essentially, you cannot use very expensive $10,000 ASIC miners that are basically only used for Bitcoin. That is their only purpose. You must use GPUs that you can find in any gaming computer, and you can buy on the primary market. Usually NVIDIA and AMD cover that pretty well, and you can buy that through resellers and things of that nature. But they're multi-purpose parts. They are not specific parts for only one task. GPUs are affordable, and they are used for maximum inclusion in mining from the public. So anybody can participate in mining ERG, unlike Bitcoin today. Ergo's native coin is ERG, ERG. It has a strict, rigid, hard token supply of 97.7 million ERG coins. That will never change. It has been emphasized in the past that while there may be soft forks, while there may be changes to the emission, it has been strongly emphasized that there will be under any circumstance, any change to the coin supply, the cap. There will never ever be more than 97.7 million ERG coins. Period. It is a fairly new programmable blockchain whose mainnet launched in 2019. With probably the most superior DeFi applicable smart contract tooling in the entire crypto space. Ergo is completely decentralized. There is no governing body presiding over it. There was no ICO, initial coin offering for Ergo, no pre-mine, no insider team allocations, and zero venture capitalist investors. When launched in 2019, there still are none of these things have changed for Ergo. You only have the foundation to kind of give the project the training wheels it needs to run and stand on its own 2 feet. So they play that kind of framework in the background, but completely decentralized protocol. So as a consequence, Ergo, at least in my opinion, not an official legal opinion, of course, but from my interpretation, it is completely safe from scrutiny, from sort of like governing organizations and bodies like the SEC here in the United States, because Ergo architecturally, as it was built, cannot be deemed a security under any circumstance. Similar to Bitcoin, everybody around the world has, with the exception of like China, has agreed that Bitcoin is decentralized, that there is not much they can do to stop people from owning it or mining it. Ergo also has optional privacy features built in called Ergo Mixer, which has now been proven to be superior in quality to all other privacy coins in the crypto space today. If you think of Monero, Zcash, etc., these are hard forks of Bitcoin's open source code at their core, and they the ones here mentioned are in the top 50 most of the time in the entire crypto industry by market capitalization. They're essentially, early mid 2010 hard forks of Bitcoin that added some privacy features on top of Bitcoin. So Ergo, again, everything built from scratch. Ergo Mixer, very good. I will cover that more in depth in a future video. Ergo also has made smart contract functionality and the Ergo virtual machine simpler and better to use than Ethereum's open source dev tools. And that library of smart contract tools and programming tools continues to grow on Ergo each and every day. Okay, here's some very interesting things, that features on Ergo. Ergo does not have any gas fees, which means if you mint an NFT, if you send ERG to another wallet address, you do not have any gas fees. What you do have is a very tiny transaction fee that literally costs pennies on the dollar. That is pretty much it. To mint an NFT on Ergo using the auction house, it costs pennies. It costs pennies to mint, to turn an image into an NFT officially, and give it that unique serial number, if you will. And it literally costs not only cents to mint an NFT, but it also costs pennies to send that NFT or to put it up for sale and transfer that to another individual's wallet. This is very, very important, I think, for the NFT space going forward. And this is on the base layer of Ergo, right? We're not talking about layer 2. We're not talking about zero knowledge rollup, ZK rollup. We're not talking about Polygon or anything else or Lightning Network in Bitcoin's case. Something to alleviate congestion by taking transactions off chain. We're not talking about any of that. Right from the beginning, Ergo has all of the features I'm mentioning. These are not future releases that are going to be done and kind of like a Q4, we'll get to this. We hope to, there are those things. Development never stops, but all of these features I'm mentioning in this presentation today and this 2022 crash course, all of these features are in here right now. There are many technical elements to how this is possible and feasible that Ergo has zero gas fees. But in essence, there's zero gas fees because Ergo is one of the very few blockchains that has successfully implemented EUTXO, Extended Unspent Transaction Output Boxes, and that is straight baked right into their architecture on how they conduct transactions. And there's more technical elements. I'm trying to avoid many of them in this video because this is a beginner's crash course. But there are things like with the transactions where you have just-in-time cost prediction and all of these different knowledge-based cryptographic codings and programming that allow the blockchain of Ergo to predict what a transaction will cost before the transaction takes place. And it avoids gas fees in this way because there is no congestion to cause gas fees to happen. There's no bidding process like you would have on Ethereum where you have, okay, if you want your transaction to be done in 30 seconds, you could pay a little more or bid a little more of ETH in order to get that transaction done sooner. And then many times, anybody that's used Ethereum can tell you that gas fees, especially with the booming NFT marketplace that they have on that blockchain for now, there are many transactions that end up failed because Ethereum has an account-based model, which is not that great. And we see that right now with congestion, scaling, and the rest of their problems. But Ethereum has done a great job in pioneering in the same way that Bitcoin has. Without them, Ergo cannot exist today and solve many problems that they are facing right now. Bitcoin notoriously with their energy problem and yes, I don't want to I digress, right? But anyway, Bitcoin pioneered the original UTXO model and Ethereum changed that original design to the aforementioned account-based model because they were trying to pioneer smart contracts at the time, Ethereum. And they didn't know how to keep UTXO and create smart contracts together. So they abandoned that, and that's where they get all of their scaling problems from Ethereum. So Ergo has learned from both of those industry leaders, and they do not have any of these problems from the start. I already alluded to this. This is why Ethereum has insanely high gas fees due to their account-based model, which isn't the best form of performing blockchain transactions. That would be UTXO or extended UTXO in Ergo's and actually Cardano's case. So Ergo also not only competes on the DeFi sandbox side against Ethereum, Solana, and Avalanche in terms of its superior DeFi capabilities. And not only does it have superior privacy features that are completely optional to the user to use and are technically, by design, better than Monero, Zcash, and others. But Ergo also has Oracle Pools 2.0 that build upon and are technically better in the way they're built, and they are more secure than Chainlinks, which I've already mentioned before that Alex was a co-founder of. So if anybody can build a better design, you would assume it would be one of the founders of pretty much the market leader in Oracle Pools. Okay, so very quickly, we're going to sidetrack into Oracle Pools. So and define what they are, because I think this is a kind of like a cryptic, no pun intended, cryptic word, cryptic term, and many people don't know what they do. So think of Oracle Pool data as crypto's version of IT, information technology. Oracles provide trusted, real-time data, for example, about tokens' current market price on a decentralized exchange, such as Uniswap, in real time. So basically, how do you get all of this reliable, trusted, real-time information in crypto, in the blockchain industry, if by philosophical principle, this entire industry is meant to be decentralized without a middleman? That is basically what oracles provide. Oracles are not well understood by most people in these early days of crypto in the 2020s, but serious developers and programmers all agree that without reliable, trustworthy, and fast Oracle pools to provide blockchain data, essentially DeFi would not be possible. Oracles take the centralizing dynamic out of DeFi, so it can remain decentralized, and reliable information can be had without a middleman, such as a company with a server room. Think Amazon warehouse server rooms, etc. So going back to Chainlink, their entire market value is derived from being the only major Oracle pool player in the DeFi space that's well known. They are first to market. Alex, again, also helped build Chainlink as the co-founder, and this is how he was able to make a better version of Oracle Pools than Chainlink in relatively short time. Chainlink also notably does not have their own native blockchain. They are an Ethereum token. They run on Ethereum. They don't have their own sovereign platform. They're an ERC 700 token built on top of Ethereum's blockchain. I just said that, but these are in my notes. This dramatically inhibits the capabilities the token Link can provide, because in 2022, it is the only well-known Oracle pool provider. Those two statements don't correlate together, by the way. I should have separated them. But anyway, not having your own native blockchain constrains you greatly, and pretty much having the token to access Oracle pool data and all of these things is kind of like a barrier to entry. For example, Chainlink has a partnership with, I believe, weather.com for providing real-time current information and it's on Chainlink's token and Ethereum's blockchain. So oracles are data, decentralized data. Or Ergo has why is their Oracle pool architecture better, and why is it dubbed Oracle Pool 2.0? Basically, oracles are individual pieces of data. They get put into a pool altogether. That becomes the Oracle pool. And then Ergo goes a step further beyond Chainlink's Oracle pooling by making pools of the Oracle pools. And it's also faster, more reliable, trustworthy, and cheaper. So, all of this is available right now on Ergo. Okay, I've alluded to some of the unique things about Ergo in the crypto industry, but we're going to get into a few more now. Apart from the other unique value propositions, Ergo, again, is ASIC resistant, so it cannot be mined with an energy guzzling Bitcoin miner that wastes a ton of energy just to get a fragment of Bitcoin these days. Ergo is notably proof of work, which is not inherently a bad thing. There is a misconception about that. If you read the news about proof of work being just bad, while the majority of the entire crypto landscape has shifted to proof of stake in large part now, due to it being simpler, easier to implement, and the new environmental narrative around proof of work being bad for the environment at its core. Ergo's unique mining protocol is called Autologous. I believe that is Greek. And it is also not only usable by GPUs, it is also the most energy efficient GPU friendly proof of work mining protocol in the entire industry. Bitcoin's network difficulty is so high nowadays that only wealthy players with deep pockets can mine it. As a result, Bitcoin mining has become heavily centralized in ASIC farms, which also means it is fairly easy to detect where in an ASIC farm's country or an individual player's country is the Bitcoin mining being performed. This is obviously due to the large-scale day-to-day operations of Bitcoin mining, the undeniably high energy costs and electric bills it produces, etc. As a result, Bitcoin mining can be easily censored and outlawed by a country at will, and despite a miner's best efforts to stay hidden. Basically, just like any major operation, these ASIC farms look like giant server rooms. They produce a lot of energy cost, heat, noise. That thermodynamic framework for those miners are being improved and iterated on, but nevertheless, it is very hard to not see a giant warehouse filled with Bitcoin miners, and this has been seen in practice. A case study, China has outlawed Bitcoin mining. Not owning Bitcoin itself, mind you, but they've outlawed cryptocurrency exchanges and most recently Bitcoin mining. It's pretty easy to find the ASICs. Because of the very nature of how you have to centralize all this energy consumption to mine Bitcoin in one central vulnerable location. Okay. The great thing about Ergo is, or mining ERG, not only is it inclusive to all miners with a decent enough GPU card in their computers, but GPUs are also, as I mentioned before, multi-purpose parts. They're used in gaming, 3D visual design rendering, and many other things. ASICs are singularly purposed to solely mine Bitcoin, as I mentioned before. It is impossible to ban GPUs or detect who is mining ERG, because all the activities done with GPUs consume relatively the same amount of power and energy as a YouTuber would streaming themselves playing Call of Duty online all day. This is important as new legislation rolls out across the world to interpret proof of work mining's impact on energy and on the environment. So pretty much nobody can ever censor you from mining if you chose to with your GPU. And they may not It'd be very difficult to detect unless you had a giant mining farm of GPUs. Ergo is the only smart contract enabled GPU friendly mineable coin in the entire crypto industry. Once Ethereum leaves proof of work behind. So there is going to be a big GPU mining vacuum. There's the entire market, business market surrounding GPU mining. And Ethereum will no longer be a player as they switch to proof of stake one day. And Ergo will be one of the main contenders for sucking up a lot of that hash rate mining power after Ethereum leaves. It is the only smart contract DeFi platform that you can mine. The others would be like Ravencoin or Ethereum Classic, which are hard forks of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So again, there's not a lot of uniqueness in those blockchains, apart from that they serve as instruments for miners to park their hash rate in order to gain some sort of business profitability from them. That is hopefully, if you do mine those cryptocurrencies, will turn in at least a small profit after you take into account the overhead costs of mining altogether, electricity, parts, etc. Ergo doesn't have also crazy halving cycles like every 4 years like Bitcoin does. What Bitcoin does with their halving cycle, in my opinion, they create an unnecessary aggressive supply shock out of nowhere every 4 years for Bitcoin. And that takes several months for the miners and the market to figure out a new market value and balance between the newer block rewards and that scarcity and the price for Bitcoin. It would be like if every 4 years you had the housing market, that the inventory for houses cut in half forever for another 100 years. Meaning, for example, I use the United States, for example. We do see some of that now with COVID having passed, and we see the supply of housing and construction lagging behind. And really, if we're being honest, housing has been lagging behind in the United States for decades now, behind the demand for homes. So there are many parallels you can draw from like this kind of like real tangible asset and this digital intangible asset, that they're both scarce. One is arguably more necessary than the other, right? Shelter. But imagine if all the new homes being built were just cut in half every 4 years. What would that do to the housing market? It would change dynamics out of nowhere. If there was a specific date and time, you reach a block height and boom, cut in half. It is not healthy, in my opinion. It's kind of like a descending staircase. And I have another mining video that has already been released where I go into more detail about Bitcoin's halving cycle and kind of tokenomics of mining altogether between ERG and Bitcoin in a previous video if you want more information on that in further detail. So additional tools and features of Ergo. Okay, so ErgoScript, we mentioned that before. It is a powerful and protocol-friendly scripting language for cryptocurrencies. Programs in ErgoScript are used to specify the conditions under which currency can be spent. The language supports a type of non-interactive zero-knowledge proofs called Sigma protocols. And the Sigma protocols are flexible enough to allow for ring signatures, multi-signatures, multiple currencies, atomic swaps, self-replicating scripts, and long-term computation. So a lot of that kind of scientific, or a lot of these terms here for ErgoScript And really, for this page of the presentation, art may seem like a foreign language to many of you. But for those that understand the blockchain space and what is required to build on cryptocurrencies and kind of the constraints and limitations of many blockchains out there, they would find this very appealing. That is pretty much the main point a beginner should take from what I just said. Sigma protocols allow you to do a lot. Ergo script, and I may note again, in contrast, it allows you to do a lot that mostly any other blockchain cannot do. Most, not all, but most, arguably. Ergo script is built considering Bitcoin's security and privacy, and the purpose of making all kinds of complex financial contracts accessible to everyone. In contrast, Bitcoin's design does not allow for loops, and building complex smart contracts on top of it isn't possible. ErgoScript allows for self-replication, therefore it can be used to create Turing-complete processes in a blockchain. I didn't know what completeness meant, so I put in an extra little note of the definition of Turing-complete systems. And that is a system, at least in blockchain, in which a program can be written that will eventually find an answer for the problem, computational problem that you're trying to solve. In other words, Turing complete refers to a machine that, given enough time and memory, along with the necessary instructions being sufficient, they can solve any problem, computational problem, no matter how complex. That's very, very useful. I think everybody would agree if a blockchain was Turing complete. Extended UTXO. UTXO stands for unspent transaction output, and it is the way transactions are conducted on the Ergo blockchain. Ergo developed and iterated on Bitcoin's original UTXO model. So now it is the extended UTXO model by introducing readable UTXO design. This enables smart contracts to use UTXOs and their boxes as data inputs without changing them. Therefore, nodes are checking the transactions rather than balances. In comparison, in Ethereum's account-based model, nodes do this by checking all accounts to validate the system. These are just limitations that are being upended. Side by side, the UTXO model is more scalable, but it's also more complicated to build user interface tools. The account-based model that Ethereum has provides easier access to developers, but codes are heavier on the blockchain, which can lead to network congestion. Furthermore, UTXO and extended UTXO allows for parallel computation, and it's easier to compute atomic swaps in a non-custodial manner. A lot of technical terms, bear with me, just know that these things are good. Extended UTXO is the thing that allows gas fees to no longer be a thing, and many, many other things that are more advanced than what Bitcoin and Ethereum can do. NepoPows, or non-interactive proofs of proof of work. It's kind of like a shortcut for memory usage. And if you didn't know, a future problem, and that's very important to note, a lot of the things that Ergo has with it a grain of consciousness about not only today's limitations, but future limitations. For example, Bitcoin's and Ethereum's entire blockchain, I believe this is referred to a full node. If you had all the memory of Bitcoin and Ethereum's blockchains, all the transactions, because that's how you maintain decentralization. Everybody has a copy of the ledger, right? The complete ledger from January 3rd, 2009, in Bitcoin's case, all the way to present day. That book, naturally, as you add more pages and blocks to it and more transactions by nature to it, that book becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, if you were to have a digital memory to encapsulate, to consume, and sort of take a physical ledger and turn it into a digital ledger, that memory usage gets very big. We're talking about gigabytes of data and data and data and data and data and data and data. And we're talking about hundreds of gigabytes that if you have a new computer and you do nothing else with your computer, you may cover the blockchain data for now, but in a few decades, you will not be able to have the means to run that full node and have that full ledger on Bitcoin and Ethereum's blockchain. It meant pretty much every other blockchain if you're running a full node and they're a serious project. And that's very important because as things scale and adoption grows, the capability to hold all of this data for this blockchain becomes very difficult to do. So NepoPals are a shortcut that only take the headers of the blocks, or in other words, transaction receipts. And they just basically give you the short and sweet of it. So the amount of data and memory requirements needed can decrease significantly. That is what a NepoPals are. It is an important capability of Ergo that enables light clients being, instead of having the full book, the full ledger of transactions from beginning to present day, you can have a light version of it, just a little light version that gets to you get the point across, you get to see all you get to validate and check and see all the transactions without having to download all of that heavy data. So NepoPals enable light clients to interact with the blockchain without needing, again, like I wrote in my notes, without needing to download the whole blockchain. This is beneficial for creating efficient, lightweight clients, such as mobile wallets. One interesting point, it is important to look at the blockchain industry from like a global perspective. One example of where NepoPals would be very useful would be in underserved developing country or region of a country where data bandwidth on a mobile device, for example, is unreliable or sporadic or slow. Light clients are more likely to get all of that information across versus trying to download a full blockchain ledger, run a full node on a mobile device or a computer where you may not have the best internet connection. So if we're looking at it from a more globalist perspective, NepoPals help to resolve many issues that come with running a full node by offering light clients that can get that same capability in a poor internet connection setting or in a data limitation setting. Another implementation of NepoPals is that can be done is cross-chain communication with proof-of-stake networks. Proof-of-stake networks such as Cardano can interact with Ergo through NepoPal integration. Such verification schemes can erase the need for centralized, decentralized autonomous organization structures and create new, non-interactive cross-chain operations. Simply put, NepoPals can act as sidechains. Two or more separate chains can integrate through NepoPals without the need for change in other chains. Such integration would erase also the need for example, wrap tokens that rely on DAO governance. Then by default, all of these things could help enhance sort of a layer 2 scalability solution. This is a very technical page. I promise the rest of the pages in this presentation won't be, but this is very important to cover. These are some of the major muscles that Ergo can flex, although this is definitely not a complete list of all the features. So at the bottom, you can see I put in the source. Ergoplatform.org is where you're going to want to go for all of the official information regarding Ergo. They are currently undergoing a website revamp. The current website, depending on when you watch it, in early April 2020, hopefully this will be the last month with the old website, right? And it is not the best UX design. It's kind of difficult for newbies to find the information they need. But anyway, I got a lot of the information from this page from that one of the blogs on their website. And they have phenomenal blogs, and I recommend definitely, if nothing else, looking into the blogs. They are extremely well written and not that long. So finally, we're going to get into the tokenomics of Ergo. Okay, so I've alluded to, and I've mentioned previously in the presentation, that the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission in the United States, right now they're undergoing a lawsuit with XRP, Ripple. XRP is not Ripple Labs. They are not intertwined in the way that maybe the SEC would like to suggest. Basically, if you, as a cryptocurrency, begin to allocate a lot of insider funds, hey, you're a lead designer on blockchain architecture, you deserve a certain percentage of our cryptocurrency total supply. You get a share. We're going to keep 10% for the core team. We'll give 5% to, I don't know, however you design the tokenomics, the distribution of the coin that your cryptocurrency blockchain protocol runs on natively. However you distribute it internally, or even sell indirectly to venture capitalists, seed investors that are looking to get in on something new, you are essentially, not an official legal opinion, but you are essentially forming a company that is would in the United States anyway, would most likely have to file officially as a company and be listed on something like the stock exchange, right? Because you are essentially selling shares of a company. You offer blockchain solutions. You want to hand them out to the public, have a way for an exchange, a medium of exchange, a marketplace to get these coins, crypto coins, and you also keep some for your a large percentage of these shares of stock for yourself, because you are the founding team and you have investors and you have this and that and the other. That is a company, in my opinion, and in many other people's opinions. In fact, the head of the SEC in the United States, not that long ago, has said, which is Gary Gensler, he said that one of the most prominent cryptocurrency exchanges that we know today as Coinbase, at the majority of Coinbase's offerings, the cryptocurrencies on Coinbase that are available to buy today in 2022, most of them would be considered securities or companies that would have to do file the proper paperwork to be listed on a stock exchange. And this is I think I've made it pretty clear why. Ergo doesn't, in my unofficial legal opinion, have this problem, because there is no there is a fair distribution of ERG coins, and there's a fair way to earn them from beginning to end. Most cryptocurrencies, in a way, I would say, are corrupted from the original principle that Bitcoin set out to provide the world with. And that's why Bitcoin is kind of like this unstoppable force, right? You cannot censor it. You cannot stop people from owning it, technically from mining it. and nobody owns it. It is completely decentralized from beginning to end. So here in this chart, we have a kind of a neat chart of public allocations of various cryptocurrencies that are well known. The purple is what has been the crypto coins of those blockchains, the native coins that have been made available to the public from the core team. That is it. The rest are behind the scenes. Yet they offer, all of these offer on almost every exchange you can think of that's a major exchange. They all offer the ability for you to buy the purple part. The black part is kept to themselves and for the people that they feel and deem are worthy of receiving it, whether they're investors or one of the founding members of the team, marketing people. This is for their company. The rest is for the retail investor, the minority share usually. So you have Polygon, which is a layer 2 for Ethereum. I'll run through them quickly. Polkadot, great cryptocurrency and what they set out to accomplish. Very smart people, no smart contracts. They kind of act as a layer 0, and only 25% of their crypto coins are made available to the public. Terra Luna, it claims 36. I've seen otherwise. I've seen less. Ethereum is a lot more than 36 right now. But there is a bureaucratic, there is a bureaucracy from the top down that implements certain rules. So the rules on Ethereum, if nothing else, are definitely not decentralized. They're definitely centralized, but the cryptocurrency of ETH is a lot more decentralized than on this graph. That is a layer 1 protocol. Avalanche. So Avalanche and Solana are just Ethereum copy. They're competing for the same market. They don't have gas fees. They do proof of stake. Ethereum is switching proof of stake. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Tron, Binance Smart Chain, Algorand. Algorand is actually very, very smart. XRP is on here. Uniswap, which is again a decentralized exchange with their own Ethereum token built on top of Ethereum's blockchain, so not native. You can see that right here. It says ERC20 below. Cosmos, Cardano, very good. Crypto.com, EOS, Ergo, Nano, Litecoin, Ravencoin, Bitcoin. So it is not that if you have a piece of black on this pie chart, that you are just inherently a terrible blockchain, you're trying to rob people, you're avoiding legal repercussions for not filing correctly. That is not always the case. For example, with Cardano, that is definitely not the case. We know that. And they have to run their operations the way they run them, and there's like 500 people that work for them. But at least the majority is public, and the decentralized ideals are there. For example, with Cardano, I can't speak too much about the rest in that sense, but it's not inherently evil to allocate something for other the coins for something other than the public. And it's incredibly challenging to fund a cryptocurrency project without having something to offer as a stake in the ecosystem to people behind the scenes. It's just the way the nature of entrepreneurialism works, right? You need to give up something. You have to pay somebody with something in order to get something done or raise money in various ways. So it's not inherently evil. For some reason, Nano is below Ergo. I don't know why. I didn't make this chart myself. But actually, Ergo should be at the bottom where Nano is, and Nano up top, because Ergo has a bit more than Nano. Nano's kind of like XLM, just used for payments with no gas. Pretty good for that. Litecoin, Ravencoin are hard forks of Bitcoin. So they are not their own thing. They don't have smart contracts. There are Bitcoin hard forks. You could kind of exclude them since they're just copying Bitcoin's open source code. And then you have Bitcoin. So essentially, Ergo, by default, this is all valid information, Ergo is the most decentralized cryptocurrency in the entire industry with smart contracts. Period. Done. And the only reason Ergo is not complete 100% is because of what I've mentioned before. There is a foundation that is nonprofit that is used to help foster innovation, give out funding to new projects and developers in the ecosystem and things of that nature. They have the training wheels. And the foundation did not do a pre-mine. They did not take it out of the public allocation of ERG that can be mined with proof of work. What they did was, for the first 2 years, Ergo's mainnet launch was in 2019. For the first 2 years, pretty much, the total block rewards, as they were mined, a certain percentage or a certain amount was reserved for the foundation to receive off the top for the first 2 years in order to raise the 4.43% of the total supply that they ended up eventually having by the end of 2021. Now there's no more of that in the block rewards, and the miners keep absolutely 100% of what they help to produce in mining pools or in solo mining from the ERG block rewards. But that is the only reason. It is completely non-profit. Other than that, it's completely 100% pure. Just like Bitcoin. And I've already mentioned, it's very challenging to do things in this way and actually be successful as a blockchain and compete with thousands of other cryptocurrencies. That is the purpose of this video, to say why ERG, or why haven't I seen ERG marketed, or why haven't I seen this, why have I never heard of it? Well, again, things take time when there's not, millions of dollars of venture capitalists put behind the project to help market it. I don't want to mention any names. You can probably guess which ones I'm talking about. Some of them are on this chart right now, and they are just trying to be first to market to compete with Ethereum and other blockchains and just get the word out there. So let's say Solana, if Solana was $20, $30, a few months ago, well, if we market it enough, if we pump it enough, we get enough NFTs on there, we can pump it to $120. Guess what? When Solana wasn't worth anything, I gave the team 15% behind Solana of the cryptocurrency, of the crypto coins. And now that it went up so high, they control, for example, they have price manipulation, right? You buy at 20, or you're given at $2, sold, goes up to $120. You decide you want to go buy a new car for your wife. You can do that. Sell it. It's all part of the same token allocation. But it is definitely centralized and unfairly given out depending on your role in the ecosystem. The retail investor pays for the new car indirectly. And this is a huge problem. And this is kind of like a very big tainted smudge on the face of DeFi and what it can actually do if all of this greed and money were to be put for better use. So anyway, here's another chart demonstrating different allocations of token supply. Ergo Manifesto, I highly recommend reading. It is on ergoplatform.org. It's kind of like the motivation behind Ergo, right? It is all too often those at the bottom who suffer in separation from those at the top who initiate the suffering. This cycle of economic abuse needs to be broken. So there's there's actually a lot of echoing of that original Bitcoin white paper with Ergo's white paper and manifesto. Okay, moving on. Finally, we're going to go into a bit of, I don't want to say price prediction, but a bit of math that helps to kind of outline minimum prices for the ERG native coin of Ergo's protocol in the future. So we're going to get into the ERG block rewards now. This is the final slide. Okay, I've made another video on this where I get into more detail. If you don't completely understand this math, or how this functions and kind of a proof of work setting, all these rewards and the fairness of it, and all of these minimum price projections using all of these emission timelines. There's another video where I really spend the entire video just talking about this one slide. But for the intent and purpose of this crash course, I felt it would be kind of unjust to leave this out. Ergo has a block reward tapering. I call it a tapering, where it steadily declines every epoch on the blockchain. Each epoch is about 3 to 4 months. Epochs are basically just how, the interval of time, and it is a way of organizing time on a blockchain. So, and the block rewards, the ERG block rewards for ERG miners diminish by 3 ERG per epoch. So every 3 or 4 months, you have the total block rewards of ERG going down forever by 3 minimally. So recently, a new software proposal was passed just this past March in 2020 that will make sure block rewards taper off a bit faster than the original emission timeline. But it also uses that to save enough ERG so it can bottom out at 3 by 2027. So in about 5 years from when this video was made in April 2022, you're going to have a bottom fixed block reward of 3 ERG per block. And that won't change for about 20 years. So we're talking 2027 to 2045. You'll have a guaranteed minimum miner incentive to fight for this bottom reward of 3 ERG. We are currently actually at 63 ERG now in early April. So 63 ERG to 3 is like about a between 85 and 95% decrease in the amount of coin able to be earned through proof of work on Ergo's protocol platform, right? It is a dramatic decline that is not happening all at once, but it's happening gradually. It is a declination, a steady as she goes tapering downward of ERG block rewards every 3 or 4 months, every epoch, and that bottoms out at 3. So from 66 to 3, and if you think about the original block rewards back in 2019, that it started at 75. Okay, the first 2 years, the foundation took 7.5 out of every block reward that was mined by miners. So really, it was about early 2022 when the block rewards were 69 ERG per block, that the tapering actually affected the actual miners and the market as a whole, right? So now is when we're beginning to see the pinch downward of scarcity, and that will flatten out at 3 again. I can't emphasize that enough, the dramatic decline of 66 or 63 all the way down to 3 by 2027. ERG rewards will be just, I have the percentage right here, 4% of the original emissions that began in 2019. That will be by 2027. Apart from having 3 ERG, the blockchain will help compensate miners for their mining through small transaction fees and what's called unspent storage rent. So this is a pretty cool idea. Unspent storage rent is a novel concept on Ergo that essentially provides a way to recycle inactive ERG coins that have remained inactive in a wallet without any activity whatsoever for at least 4 years minimum. So basically, this is a common thing that has happened in the past with Bitcoin when Bitcoin wasn't really worth anything. Fun fact, Bitcoin was only worth $6 10 years ago from 2022. So 2012, Bitcoin was only worth $6. One of the reasons it was worth $6 apart from adoption is the block rewards. Block rewards are insanely important in a proof of work setting. Bitcoin block rewards start, I talked about this in the other video, but very briefly, Bitcoin block rewards started at 50 Bitcoin per block reward, and there was like nobody mining it for the first 4 years. Very little people mined it. There weren't even formal exchanges. Cryptocurrency was just a brand new thing Bitcoin pioneered. And then it went from 50 to 25, 25 to 12.5. Every 4 years it cut in half. 12.5 to 6.25, where we're at now. And in 2024 is going to go down to 3.125. So that scarcity inherently is forever tied to the market value of a single Bitcoin. And the same principle applies for ERG. Many people have lost their early 2010 hard drive, computers, passwords, seed phrases to unlock their wallets. Many people have died in the past 10 years that originally mined Bitcoin when it wasn't worth anything, and they never thought that there was no way of recuperating this lost Bitcoin. It could have been 10, it could have been 100, it could have been 250. All of that, basically millions of dollars, has been forever lost. There's no way to reclaim it. There's no way to recycle it. Unspent storage rent on ERG has a solution for that. So if you don't at least reactivate your wallet balance, your UTXO boxes containing your ERG, at least once in a 4-year period, there will be an unspent storage rent tax. The rent tax is about 0.13 or 0.14 ERG for each year inactive UTXO boxes containing ERG remain in an inactive state. So it's just like decomposing that box, if you will. It's just chipping away at your total lost or inactive UTXO box containing your ERG. This allows for lost ERG to be recycled back into circulation and to be earned again by miners over time. So you cannot lose ERG, essentially. You can lose it, but the entire blockchain cannot lose it. It goes back into circulation if you do not choose to reactivate your UTXO boxes once per every 4 years. Excuse me. It is not a big deal if you do have access to your stuff, but people inevitably will lose access, some percentage of people, and this is a way to compensate the miners that are exerting a lot of energy in the future for this ERG. So on top of the 3 ERG, they'll be able to earn this tax back into circulation, basically, with network difficulty, fight over it. And apart from transaction fees, which will boom as the blockchain continues to develop in the DeFi sector and more dApps are created for it and more transactions are being conducted on Ergo, the transaction fees that right now are very low, but that is a variable thing that miners can choose to vote on and to change slightly. The transaction fees and the unspent storage rent will be ways to help incentivize miners to continue mining for the Ergo blockchain and provide the highest security assumptions to date after 2045, when there will be no more ERG to mine, right? Based on the emission timeline, right? You have 3 ERG from 2027 to 2045 flat, and then you have these other components to help sort of substitute the 3 ERG and still give miners profitability. Finally, the best part is that today at 63 or 66 ERG at the time I made this presentation per block reward, we know that for basic math, we know that the price per coin, ERG coin, is around $5. And the block times on Ergo are every 2 minutes. This creates 720 unique opportunities for miners to earn ERG block rewards per day. The other video goes into this in a lot more detail. In March 2022, 66 ERG times 720 is 47,520 new ERG mined every day at a price of $5. That is about $237,600 worth of value and inflationary supply that is being added to the ecosystem of Ergo every day. If we take that same $237,600 being produced by miners every day today, in March 2022, and we plug that minimum value back into the 3 ERG block rewards that will mathematically become a reality beginning in 2027, that means every new ERG token mined from 2027 onward should be worth at least a minimum of $111. Why? Because the value that is being generated today by miners is, if we take that and plug it in as a baseline of demand, a market value being created and driven by demand every day, and we plug it into the very scarce, tiny amount of ERG being produced from 2027 onward, that makes every new ERG token out of those 3 block rewards compared to 66 we have currently, that means that every ERG coin from 2027 onward would be worth a market value of at least $111 each. And that would be pumped into the pre-existing circulating supply from pre-2027. So it's more of a gravitational pull of scarcity induced demand that will help pull the price up of ERG if it's below that $100 mark, right? 3 ERG per block reward in 2027 times the amount of block rewards emitted per day creates just 2,140 new opportunities to shove that $237,000 into that I mentioned before. And I've already mentioned the next sentence here. So it would help pull the pre-existing circulating supply of Ergo upward if it was at that time lower than $111. Think of it as, again, scarcity-driven market value, gravitational pull upward. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been a pleasure to present this information. Not all of this information is objective, right? Some of it is subjective. So my opinions and thoughts obviously do not reflect any of the Ergo team's opinions. In many cases, not necessarily the facts, and that they would present, or other blockchains. So try to separate the parts that are factual from my own opinions, and none of this is, again, financial advice to buy ERG or anything of that nature. I'm simply providing facts infused with my opinions, and I think it's pretty clear where those opinions come out most in this presentation. So take that with a grain of salt, and do with that information what you will. So again, none of this is indicative of the Ergo Foundation. I do not work for the Ergo Foundation, and they are pretty good at keeping things objective and clear. My job, or my role here as a content creator, is to provide educational value and my own opinions through my YouTube channel, Ergo Prism. Okay, so with that being said, speaking of YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe, leave your comments below. I do read every comment, and feel free to drop a like. It would help me a lot with the YouTube algorithm and exposure. And feel free to find me on Twitter if you haven't followed me already at Ergo_Prism, PRISM. And be sure to check out the official ergoplatform.org site, where you'll find tons of great content and information regarding Ergo. So hopefully this video helped you and you learned something new that you hadn't before. And feel free to share this with anybody you may think may find this helpful. I think this video would will age very well in the future as a 2022 presentation, because Ergo and the DeFi platform that it is blossoming here, it is only growing exponentially every day. It's very tough to keep track of the growth. And right now, Ergo sits at about $200 million worth of a market cap, which places it around 300th place in the entire crypto industry in terms of market capitalization. So I think that will only become more. I think Ergo with more marketing, more centralized exchange listings where people can actually buy it easier than what is currently available for people to buy it in. So exposure, marketing, partnerships, educational content such as this, more people that learn Ergo script. We get on the same level of adoption that Solidity has with Ethereum. I think this market cap will seem unrealistic and incredibly low for Ergo going into the future. So without further ado, thank you for watching. Have a great one.